You're listening to the Marginally Geeky Show, the epically geeky book club.
Greetings and welcome to the Marginally Geeky Show. I'm your host for the evening, Eugene Stevens. Tonight we are talking about Starter Villain by John Scalzi. Tonight I'm joined by Ray, Kris, and Shaun. How are y'all doing?
Super duper.
Peachy.
More awake than you.
That's right. Yes, more awake than me. This was your pick, right, Ray?
It was mine. Yep.
So why did you pick this one?
I was trying to look up something funny. I looked up funny science fiction style books, and this one popped up a couple of times on a few lists. I listened to it as I almost turned it down. I'll get into that, but then I was like, okay, I got to read a little bit more, and it's in reading it. I was the synopsis kind of piqued my interest a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I knew I was going to recommend it once we get to the safe house.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let's see here. So, do you want to give us a brief rundown of the story?
Sure. So, this kid that's kind of early 20 or like 26, I think is what you say.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So guy kind of fallen on some bad luck. He's lost his dad. He's lost his mom previous to that. He doesn't get along with his siblings, and he's gonna get evicted from the house that he has been sort of inherited from his dad. But long story short, they want him out of there. So his uncle passed away, and he's asked to go stand for his uncle at his funeral. For some reason, some guys there decide to try and kill his uncle in front of him, even though he's already dead. Doing the good thing and staying up for his uncle and saying, like, no, don't stab him. Like, this is nuts. It showed the right character that his uncle's business decides to hire him on to take over for him as the business, to run the business of parking lots. Which we find out that it's not for parking lots. He's a professional villain. So then you yada yada yada. You find out a bunch of stuff, and yeah.
Fair enough. So I wrote down some of the characters. So I thought we could start kind of talking about the characters and kind of going around that way. So let's start off with the main character. And that's Charlie. You're right. He's mid-late 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his character is I mean, I enjoyed it. We follow him through the entire story, so we're kind of seeing it through his eyes.
Yep.
I love some of his internal monologue, especially when we meet some of the other particular characters. But yeah, it's just he's thrown into the situation, and I like how he handles it for the most part. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't know if I would have done it that way, but okay, whatever. Yeah. So, any thoughts in particular on Charlie?
Yeah, simple character that he's the one that you have to see the world through his eyes because he's learning. So as he learns, you learn.
Right. Jake's the uncle that passes away. We find out, just kind of. Different things about him as it's going on. Matilda.
That's the assistant, correct?
Yes, yeah. The assistant. So, any particular thoughts on her?
I liked her. The only thing I didn't like was the secret keeping, like just that one piece of information about why Charlie inherited everything, and she was always so vague about it. I'm like, oh my god, just fucking tell him. Why don't you tell? Why are we not telling him the things that he needs to know? And then you're getting mad at him
because he doesn't know.
Because he doesn't know.
Because he doesn't know. Yeah. So
he doesn't know. Yeah. So she was. I liked how direct she was, but that was the one part that irritated me.
That's right.
Yeah, fair enough. Tobias the Stabber.
I was thankful you. Yes, because that is his name.
I love the fact that he's just like, well, I'm just going to call him Tobias the Stabber from now on. So, period.
And it's fitting.
Oh yeah, exactly, yeah. Because I mean, he plans on stabbing people multiple times in this book. So, let's see.
But like, yeah.
We have Anton. I loved Anton. The older guy who was kind of the frenemy, like he was.
Oh,
They kept
Yes.
telling me, "Don't trust him," but he was just like, "Listen, it's we were friends.
Yeah.
As much as you could be a friend with someone you call a villain." So,
you don't trust me. I like you.
yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Gratis is the new head of the bad guys.
Yeah.
Very stereotypical bad guy, just kind of full of himself. And then probably the best characters of the book, Hera and Persephone.
Okay.
Okay, so the book cover for this is of a cat. It looks like one of those paintings you've seen online where someone has submitted a picture of their cat and it's done up like it's like wearing a suit or whatever. And and that's what it looks like. Like I literally have one of my cat that passed away, Conan, and he's dressed up like an admiral. Like we had that done to commemorate him. And it looks like that. And it's this cat in a suit and it says starter villain. And I'm just like, okay, what is this about? Like that right there just kind of grabbed me. And so as the book goes on, like you said, when we get to the safe house, because his house gets exploded, he has a cat and he finds a kitten, and the kitten kind of follows him home and just immediately is okay with the other cat, and he's like, all right, well, cool, they didn't fight or anything, this is probably going to work out. Guess I own 2 cats now. And then come to find out the cats are intelligent and can use a typewriter or a typewriting type machine, and have been spying on him. They were sent by his uncle to spy on him pretty much all of his life to keep tabs on him. Thoughts on Hera and Persephone?
Oh, I thought they were great. Great characters. I love the existential crisis of like, you don't have to pretend to like me. It's okay. Like it's, he's just freaking out. Like, I'm so sorry. I fed you like cat food the whole time. And they're like, no, we like it. It's fine.
I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, it's like potato chips.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was fun to hear it from a cat's perspective, but in an intelligent way. Like it wasn't like the cat was talking. It was
that I liked. I liked that they didn't make the cat talk.
Yeah,
it was like was it that voice software?
Yeah. So just typing it out, which was good.
Voice.
Yeah. But you didn't bring up the other sentient beings.
Well, okay. So the other sentient beings are the dolphins, and they are able to communicate through voice translation software. And boy, are they foul-mouthed!
That's understandable.
Yeah, very foul-mouthed.
Yeah. But I mean, to be honest, if you were kind of treated that way, you might be kind of an asshole too.
Yeah.
So, and
I will say, when I was listening to this the second time, I had to skip through the beginning of the introduction of the dolphins because it was just that annoying. I'm like, okay, I get it. They're assholes.
Mm-hmm.
Can you move on? So
I do like the fact that our main character is open enough that he actually asks some questions and stuff. So he's like, well, why are y'all such assholes? And they're like, well, you would be too if you can't really leave. And he's like turning around, he's like, well, why can't they leave? Well, they can, but there's not really any other place to go. Well, then what about this? What about that? And like when he finds out they're cloning, he's like, they can't reproduce. Y'all don't really pay them. Like, yeah, like y'all are treating them pretty shitty. Like, why are y'all doing that? So I thought that was interesting. Let's see here. I already asked you why you picked the book. Any particular favorite parts of the book?
I'll let Shaun go first. if you remember.
I absolutely love the dolphins. Any interaction, it was like Douglas Adam meets Ryan Reynolds kind of writing.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I just laughed. It was so good, and the Douglas Adam part is like more about them like unionizing.
Oh yes.
I thought that was so funny, and it's so great. And ultimately, that was the downfall of like the master plan was the unionizing not only of the dolphins but like all the sentient creatures. It was those interactions, they stand out the most for me. So,
Ray, any particular scenes that really stood out?
I liked the first assassination attempt on Gratis as they're just walking, and all of a sudden the guy is coming to stab.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, oh, and like it's like this is a Tuesday, and then Charlie's like, holy shit, and like trying to, but he even describes like they fall awkwardly, and he kind of lands on them wrong, and it's like, but the guy's twitching on the ground, for not even close. Like I like that kind of stuff. So all the little stupid assassination attempts and that kind of thing, I liked. And then the conversation between Tobias the Stabber and Gratis as well, of like, he's trying to assassinate me twice, 3 times.
Yeah.
I know 2. What about the 3rd? Oh, I can't tell you. So yeah, just those were a lot of fun. And then understanding, I liked the moments between Hera and Charlie when it's more like real and just she wants to take care of him, which is really kind of cute. So yeah.
Kris, any particular favorite scenes?
I can't really remember scenes. I just remember sort of how the book made me feel. I really liked how the cats were used and because I'm like, I totally believe that. That's totally fucking plausible. We should do that. We should do something like that. So I liked that. I like, that they weren't actually physically talking, that it was all a voice to like a text to voice situation. That Charlie cared, like I liked the questions that he asked to the animals. Because he just like bizarre world. Why would I talk to a dolphin? This is weird.
Yeah.
But thought enough of it to be like, why is this the way it is? And what else did I like? It was fun. Like the overall feeling of it was like, it's one of those books where it's high stakes. Like it's a lot of death, a lot of assassination, a lot of villainy, but it doesn't feel like intense.
Yeah.
Because of all the humor and sort of the lightheartedness of it all and kind of the ridiculous situations that they get in, it still feels what?
I was going to say, sorry, that reminds me of the scene where they're talking about the death. How do you want to die? Like that kind of.
Oh yes, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
So the CIA agent comes on the island, and they're like,
"Oh,
all right,
yeah,
sorry, that's what reminded me of that." Yeah.
So, but just the kind of the silliness of it all, and so it makes it an enjoyable read.
Yes. You really want to go by sharks because they don't really kill you; they more like just bite you, and then we have to do this and we have to do that. It's messy. It's like
and you got to go in the barrel anyway.
Yeah, you're gonna go in the barrel anyway. So.
Attach laser beams to them. Come on, like Dr. Evil did it.
I'll circle back around to the animals here in just a second, but the scene where they're at the villains convention thing, and the douchebags get up there and are pitching ideas. I thought that was hilarious.
The pitch and pitch. Yeah.
The pitch and pitch. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
In particular, when Matilda the guy gets like 3 words out, and she just like launches him, and she's just like, yeah, sorry, not sorry. So, I'm like you, Kris. I love the fact that he thought about the animals and talked to them. And he totally asked a question that I'll be honest with you. Like when I was reading this, I thought to myself, whenever he said it, I thought, yeah, that's a question I would ask myself. And that is, I would ask the cat. So do you really like being around me, or was this just your assignment? And when they're like, no, we actually really like being around you. Number one, it is our assignment, but you made it so much easier because you were like, oh no, you're gonna be, you know, with me, and you try to take care of us and stuff, and it made life a lot easier. So, but yeah, I thought about it, and I was just like, yeah, because if my cats could talk, I would totally be asking them like, so are you just here because we won't let you out, or do you like genuinely like to be here? So,
It'd be better too, because then you could actually explain to them like, hey, you can go live out there if you want, but
yeah, just realize your lifespan outside is generally like 3 to 4 years. Your lifespan inside is like 15 to 20. So, you know, pick and choose, guy. Any least favorite parts of the book? I think you already said, Ray, the constant cursing from the dolphins at the beginning part, but
the first time round was fine. It was when I was listening to it again, I was like, okay, this went on a little too long. But
fair enough.
Just the introduction of them.
Mm-hmm.
So
and just the lack of telling Charlie really anything that would be important to him. He should know this is all happening to him out of the blue. And then the lack of information between his Uncle Jake and his mom, like that whole relationship, I didn't feel like that was fleshed out enough for me, because it was such a, like, it kept being brought up. It's like, okay, so it keeps getting brought up. Tell us something, please. Fair. And then, just that he just, Matilda seemed very wary of telling Charlie anything except he needed to know everything. And I didn't like that. I don't like that in books anyway.
Shaun, anything in particular you didn't care for?
I wasn't a big fan of the Matilda character. I don't know. In general, the story was pretty simplistic, so I was hoping for more, so it was kind of let down. Like, Charlie always seemed to be in the dark about everything, but accepted a lot of stuff too. And it's like, dude, like, you're having a problem with this, but you just accepted a talking cat? Come on, dude. Like, and that actually, it happened. It felt like it was happening a little too frequently. I can understand one or two, but it was like, you're accepting this, but not this. Fuck off. This is stupid.
I don't know, man. I had a friend that when we watched the 96 version of Godzilla, he walked out and did not enjoy it. And I was like, well, what did you not like about it? And he said the part where the cab kind of goes up and over Godzilla's like toenail and manages to land and keep going. He goes, that was really unrealistic. And I'm like, wait, you can bend reality for like a 50-foot tall lizard to not only run around New York City, but hide? He hid, and you're okay with that? But the thing over the nail, that was too far.
Okay.
But
that was the same when we went and we watched The Hobbit. Deb and I went to the theaters to see it, and it was that like underground goblin train scene where they're, and she's like, oh, this is so unrealistic. And I'm like, this is where you're drawing line? Like, everything up to this point was, well, I can believe that. And how do you let that go? Like,
so I can forgive it a little bit, but yeah. Trying to think if I really had a part that I didn't really care for. Nothing really stood out to me. In particular, if I went back through it, there might have been some parts that were a little slower. But overall, I really enjoyed the book pretty much all the way through. So, thoughts on the writing?
Yeah, I liked it. It was an easy read. It was entertaining, and I didn't have a huge problem with it. I thought it was fun. Yeah.
This was a palate cleanser for me. This is okay, I'm just going to listen to something to just get back into reading or like listening to something. Just palate cleanser, I think would be the way I put it.
What had you listened to something previous to this that you needed to have your palate cleansed?
I was trying to think of that. I don't think so. That's the kind of story that it would remind me of. Like this would be a good palate cleanser.
Oh yeah, this would definitely be like if you just finished something that was like either super long, super involved, or like really dark. Like this would be a good way to be like, okay, I need something happier. So kind of like how you watch a sitcom after you watch a horror movie.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Shaun, thoughts on the writing?
I'm not a huge Scalzi fan.
Okay.
It's like a freaking train wreck for me. Like I'm not really into it, but I like get drawn in. Fuck, here's another one. Because I know you've got another one on the list from Scalzi. The what is it now?
Kaiju,
yeah.
Kaiju Preservation Society, and I have like red shirts on my list too. But like I've read like the Locked In series and stuff like that. Like there's something about his writing that I'm
not a fan of.
I don't mind it, but there's always something that I'm like, why am I listening to this or whatever? And it just keeps coming up, and I'm like I fairly enjoyed this one, but it was like, I'm not gonna read this one again, kind of thing.
Fair enough.
Partially the writing, it might have been because I'm Will Wheaton out, so. And he seems to do like all of Scalzi. I guess they're like best buds or something.
They are good friends, yes. So we'll get to that in a second. I'm with Ray and Kris on this one. It's light. It's not a hard read at all. Of course, I'm listening to it anyway, but it's not like he's definitely not thumbing through his thesaurus to try to make us think that he's smarter than he is. It's very straightforward. It's a fun light read. I've told some people about it, and it's kind of like the new Ghostbusters movie, in which case I'm like, it's just fun. It was a fun book. That was a fun movie. So we'll get to that here in a second. Let's see here. Would you read another book by the author? Yeah, because I have, and I've already suggested it. So I'm interested to read some of his some of his other stuff is more serious though, right, Shaun?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm interested. I may give some of his other stuff a try, but so far, the only two that I've read so far have both been more comedy, and so I'm just like that. So I'm almost afraid if I read some of his more serious stuff, I'm going to be like, this is not what I'm wanting. So, but we'll see.
The other stuff is like I've done the Locked In series and stuff like that. They're science fiction based. But what I find, there's not a lot of depth to it. Like there's no real mystery. Like you could probably figure it out. There's not like layers upon layers upon layers. So, which is what I like. So,
fair enough. Let's see here. Let's see. Any lingering questions you have from the book?
How does he make out? Because it happens over.
Well, yeah, I mean,
they sort of end it as he's just sort of taking.
Yeah,
control.
Not
control.
No, he doesn't get control. He gets $50,000 in a house or something like that
at the very end, and then and basically he's put up into the bar that he wanted.
Yeah, but does that mean that he's like no assassins come after him anymore? Or
I see.
Yeah. How does he fare?
Yeah, I think he's protected. Now that's interesting you bring that up though, because that is kind of when he did piss off a lot of people.
And see, what my thought was because at the very end of the book, he's asking Hera, he's like, so are you coming back home? Yeah. And she's like, I will be home, but I have some stuff to take care of. And it's like literally the last scene is him locking up the bar and her and Persephone show back up. I kind of took that as they were wrapping up what needs to be wrapped up. And I would assume that would probably be like, okay, so these people might try to come after him. I'm going to take care of that. So that's my own headcanon, but I'm just like, I figure so.
But you know what? I'm okay with it being ended.
I'm fine.
I do too, yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Before we get to would you recommend this book? So what did you think of the narration?
I don't mind Will Wheaton. I don't know why. I think because he's Wesley Crusher in my head. It's fine. And Ready Player One and stuff. So I'm fine with it. But I don't think I would listen to him again. But I'm not one of those who like avoid Will Wheaton if he's narrating it. It's not like me and Jim Dale, where I will avoid another Jim Dale book like the plague because Dumbledore is Dumbledore, and that's
Ray. It's okay.
I know. I feel bad. Okay, so like one of the first books we ever listened to was Ready Player One.
Yeah.
And that was my introduction to audiobooks, essentially. So I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. But then you get into other voice actors, essentially, who perform the book for you. And there's a very big difference between Will Wheaton reading a book to you and other voice actors performing the book. And I really appreciate the performance of the other people, and I can only handle so much of Will Wheaton. And it's one book a year is probably like my limit to listening to them. And it's no offense to him. It's just the way that he reads it. I find it annoying and at times. So that's what I mean by like the dolphin scene. I found his portrayal of that got annoying to me. But, and it's again nothing against the guy. It's just it tweaks something to me.
Shaun?
I think Ray nailed it with he reads it rather than performs it. Like, and I got Will Wheaton there because after Still Just a Geek, which is like a 22 hour, like a monster.
Yeah, it is a monster.
But so he's reading a biography and telling his stories, and it's the same damn voice and inflections as it was in this book. And I'm like, dude, no, that's not how you do it. Like, I've been listening to audiobooks for a really long time now. I don't say I'm like a professional listener, but people should be paying me to listen to their fucking books. And I know a good reader, a narrator, and a not so good one. Hey, I like Wesley Crusher. I like Will Wheaton, what he posts and stuff like that. He's just, I think it's time to end the audiobook stuff. He just doesn't have it. So, and that, I think that kind of wrecked it for me on this one a little bit too. So
I could see that. I mean, if you're getting tired of his voice, I could definitely see. And you're right. Like it's when he was reading his biography, it is a huge book. It is a huge book. I don't have a problem with him. I mean, I like the guy. Like I said, I don't have a problem with his voice. I think as long as he's reading lighthearted sci-fi, I think I'm okay with it. Now, if he were to start reading some other stuff, I might be like, I don't know. Like Ready Player One, I think was fine. I think he was fine reading this, and I think he was fine reading the other one that we're about to read, Kaiju Preservation Society, because, like I said, it's lighthearted sci-fi. Now, if this was a more serious book, then I might be like, I don't know, maybe that's not the best choice of person, but. Yeah, and if you want to see John Scalzi, he was on an episode of Tabletop, so he did come do Will Wheaton's show. So yeah, they are friends. So yeah, but anyway, I mean, I didn't have a problem with the narrator, but like I said, Will Wheaton's also a very I'm trying to divisive person. Like I know some people who are just like they're like, I don't have anything against the guy personally. I just don't really care for him. And I get it. Like he's just one of those guys that you either like him or you're just like, no, he's not. I don't hate him. I just don't care for the dude. So,
and I could listen to his podcast. Like I could listen to him on a podcast form. But him reading me a book is very different.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Just talking and interviewing and stuff like that. Fine, but don't let him read us stories anymore.
So would you recommend this book and why?
Yeah, I would. I think if somebody was either wanted like a palate cleanser, a light read, a cozy read, to get them like out of a reading slump, or because they, the sitcom after the horror, I would definitely read this one. Or if somebody wanted to get more into like less contemporary literature stuff and wanted to try just something a little bit off kilter, yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah, I would recommend the book, especially as a palate cleanser. If somebody, or if this is like somebody's introduction into some potential sci-fi or something like that, where all they've read before is like real stories of people, it's like, okay, well, here's just a lighthearted thing to listen to, just for some fun.
Yeah. Shaun?
Maybe for a longer car trip that you want to do a one shot, bunch of people in the car and all that, because there is some laughs in it and that kind of thing. Yeah, once again, it really comes down to the person you're gonna be recommending. And I would provise though that it is being read by Will Wheaton, so keep that in mind too. So
maybe actually pick up the actual,
yeah,
paper copy.
Actually, they still have those.
They still sell Dead Trees, so yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it pretty much for the exact same reasons y'all said. If someone's, wanting to do something that's not too long, fairly short, fun, quick, like you said, palate cleanser is a really good description of it. I think it'd be a good one for that. Is there anything else that you want? If you could ask the author anything, what would you ask him?
Why Will?
They don't get
Because they're friends, and we already answered that.
would have worked out. Like where he got the idea from.
Which I will say, I do appreciate that at the end of the book, he does talk about some of his influences on like the pitch and pitch and a couple of things. So
that was funny.
That was good.
That was fun.
Yeah. I think his previous book to this one is the Kaiju Preservation Society. And at the end of that one, because we are going to read it next time, but he talks about like how he was trying to write a book during COVID and got COVID and just like wrecked his brain, and he could not get it together. And he's like, I'm going to have to contact, this is my professional job, and I'm going to have to contact my publisher and say, I'm sorry, I can't produce this, and I'm just not going to get it done. And then like literally that book popped in his head like the next day. So he calls him back. He goes, hey, I can't do that one, but I got this one. And then I think this one came after it. So I don't know. He may just kind of be healing essentially after COVID and kind of, wrecked his world. And so maybe that's why he's focusing some on the lighter stuff. Because I think he even said he was working on a different book and he was just like, yeah, that one just was not coming together either. And this one popped in my head and was like, yeah, this is fun. We'll do this. So let's see. I think that's pretty much most of the questions I had. Oh, one of the other things I thought was really funny was something or another. They bring up. He brings up a question about like, well, why just dolphins and cats or something, like why not dogs? And she goes, oh, absolutely not dogs. They will sell you out for a pat or a treat. Like,
Yep. That little fucker down there would absolutely. Oh yeah. Not the cat.
No.
But,
yeah, I've seen those memes online talking about how cats are better than dogs because if they could talk, cats won't turn you in to the police. So I was like, yeah, that's not a bad idea. So overall, do you enjoy the book, Ray?
Yeah, it was, like I said, palate cleanser. Overall, I enjoyed it. I probably would read it rather than listen to it again. But overall, yeah.
If nothing else, having a physical copy sitting like in your house for someone to be like, what is this? Like I said, it's a cat in a suit and it says starter villain. I'm like, what? So
It's a great conversation starter.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Kris,
What was the question?
overall, what did you think? Did you enjoy it?
Yes, I
Okay.
did. Oh, yeah, that's happening a lot lately. Yeah, I did. I did like it. I like that it was just fun.
Yep. Shaun?
It was all right. I probably 6 on the scale, 1 to 10 scale, I guess. It was
It's not
meh.
bad.
So it had some good ideas in it. The explanation, like villain isn't evil inherently. It's just kind of introducing chaos into the system kind of thing. That was cool. And it had a lot of good ideas in it. Just wasn't the depth of writing that I usually enjoy. So
Fair enough. As you can tell, I did enjoy the book. And I'm definitely glad you recommended it because it showed up on my Audible multiple times. And like I said, the cover I kept going, man, Audible really wants me to read this book about this cat. I don't know what it's about, but I was because I honestly what was giving me I was a little gun shy about not pulling the trigger on it at first was reading the Kitty Cat Kill Sat. And
that's what I was thinking too.
I was like, is this about a cat that's like, running a crime syndicate or something? And I was just like, I don't, but no, this was much more interesting than what I was originally thinking it was going to be. So, it was something else I was going to say, and I don't remember what it was, but going back to the villain thing. I like how they described that being a villain didn't necessarily mean that you're a bad person. It just means you're. What's interesting is I took that as like a pop shot at like Elon Musk, because that's kind of what he does is find an industry and that is stagnant and disrupts it. Although I will say, for the most part, he has disrupted them in a much more beneficial way. Like we would not be going to space anywhere near as much as we are now had he not done SpaceX. We would not have electric vehicles to the extent we have now if he hadn't done Tesla. Now, what he's gone on and done past that, well, a little debatable, but he has definitely stepped in and been like, "Hey, listen, y'all are just doing the same shit over and over again. Like, get with the times." So, well, that is our discussion for starter villain. We went around and have started figuring out what our next books are. Next book for next month, unfortunately, I'm going to be torturing Ray and Shaun, it sounds like, with another John Scalzi book, and that is the Kaiju Preservation Society. I found this one on my own. It is also very much a quick, light sci-fi palate cleanser. So your palate should be good and cleansed for whatever Joseph ends up picking for us after that. So just as a heads up, so Joseph's going to pick July, Jennifer is August, Kris has September, Ray has October, and Shaun has November. So and unless anyone decides to pick a 2-parter and switch around or whatever, that'll be the schedule. So I guess let's go ahead and move on to what else we've been reading. I'm going to start by saying I have not read anything else, at least nothing new. I've gone back through all of the Ishmael books. I'm literally about 10 minutes away from finishing up Home Run, which is the kind of the side quest with the ladies. And then I'm going to start on the 3 new ones. Was it School Days or something?
The SC Marva Collins series.
Yes. Yeah. So, and I'm going to start on those probably next. So they've been nice, easy listening while I'm re-imaging computers at school. So, but yeah, I literally have not listened to anything else new. So, Ray, you've been listening or reading anything else?
Yeah. So I finished School Days, Working Class, and Hard Knocks. Mm-hmm. So I've completed that trilogy part of Ishmael's journey. And then and I'm wondering if we'll get into them in this recommendation at some point. I'm not sure. I'd be curious what some of you have to say about it. I did start The Night Circus, which was a recommendation to me from one of my coworkers, Aaron Morgenstern.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have an issue with reading books that are set in like present tense. I don't particularly like that writing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I prefer past tense as a story if I'm listening. So hearing, hey, this is what you see, like this is what you see, and this is what's kind of going on. It's just a different perspective that I'm not enjoying so far. But I'm gonna stick with it. I'll see how it goes.
Okay.
And then I've got about 6 hours left of the Kaiju. So
okay. Cool. Kris, what else have you been reading?
So I finished for another book club. It's called The Women by Kristen Hanna. And it is about an army nurse named Frankie McGrath, who was in Vietnam for a fictional character, for 2 tours in Vietnam in the late 60s. And then just her having to come back home and everything that she's experienced and just how forgotten the women were in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know that. Like, as a Canadian, we evacuated people. We didn't do anything else. We didn't send fighters. We didn't do any of that. So it's not part of our history. So it was really cool. Even though it was historical fiction, she'd really done her research, and she actually thought of the idea in the mid-90s, but she felt like she was too young of a writer to tackle it. So her newest one, based on what other people in the book club said, it's the only one that had a kind of happy ending. And I'm like, she's a war writer, a historical fiction war writer. So I'm like, we'll see. But it was really good. Like, the woman was very, very good. I think, I don't know. You might like it, you might not. I don't know. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then I'm listening to School Days. I had to get used to the narrator again.
Jeffrey Schaefer.
Very specific way of talking. I'm like,
yeah.
Right. Okay. Got it. So now I'm in it again. It took me a few hours to be like, okay, right. Now it's all coming back. It's all familiar. I like it. It's nice to hear from Ishmael again. And then I'm also reading, it's called The Adventures of Amina El-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. And it takes place in the Middle East, in the 13th century. But it's about this woman pirate who's retired, but then she gets sort of blackmailed into doing a new job, so she gets the band back together again. So I told her, I'm like, it's kind of like Ocean's 11. If Danny Ocean was a renowned, world famous female pirate, and it was set in, medieval Eastern Europe.
So like the similarities abound,
but it was just like the shenanigans,
the casino,
but
all the lights.
There's some magical systems to it, like very light though. But I just thought that this, like, she didn't want to do it, but she got blackmailed, and it was like $1 million, and she's just like, oh, okay.
Well, stories, I mean, that's a very serious trope, and I mean, a lot of times, if it's done well, it works out really well.
Yeah, it's so far, I like it. I'm just over halfway through, but yeah, it's really cool. And I'd never read anything set in that geographical area, so it's interesting.
Yeah, there's a Star Wars book called Scoundrels, and of course, it's now not proper timeline or whatever, but it's basically that. It's Han and Chewie and Lando, and they get a group of other scoundrels together, and have to take care of a job, and it works really well in the Star Wars universe. It would have been a fantastic one-off movie. So, but Shaun, what else you been reading?
So I finished the Fierce Saga, which is a 3-book series. Love the first book. second book was still pretty good, but the third book, I hate when that happens. The trilogy, it just drops, and like technology actually got too far ahead, and the story just like you started hating like the main characters from the first couple books, and this is just. I have to finish it though because I'm a completionist. So
fair enough.
And then I also listened to the SC Marvel Collins trilogy because I hadn't actually listened to that one yet. So it was good getting back to Ishmael. So all three of those books, really enjoyed it. And then I'm reading right now. I'm doing the Dark Knight Station. So that's the one-off book in that series, which I hadn't listened to before either. I'm like, I've had it in my library for God knows how long. But it's the history of how the Dark Knight Station actually formed. So it's pretty far enough back in time before Ishmael kind of thing. So I think I'm about halfway through it, and I'm enjoying it because after just listening to Ishmael for like the last three books, like this wasn't a huge leap or anything like that. It's all by Jeffrey Kafer too and all that. I got a bunch of my queue but I'm like, God, I need to find that next gem because I have till November to figure out what book I'm picking.
Yeah.
So what is it going to be?
The pre-orders have already dropped for Bobberverse 5. That's always an option if nothing else. So.
But when is that one? That's
September.
Yep.
It
was October.
I won't pick it.
You won't pick. Okay. Well,
you're November, so you'd have more than enough time to read it. And
did we do the fourth book?
Yes, we did.
Oh, we did. Okay.
Yeah, we did.
You can't go wrong there.
Yeah.
So, that's like shooting fish in a barrel. I'm still going to look for that gem though.
Fair enough. Yeah, like I said, I'm probably going to tear through these next three Ishmael books, and then I've got one more credit holding on, and I added Dune to the list. I'm going to see. I don't know. I enjoyed the movies. I'm like, well, maybe I should give the book a shot.
Or just talk to Joseph. He gave us a pretty good time.
He filled us in really well. I mean, I wouldn't, like he said, like the first three books are pretty good. And then after that, it's like, it's a little weird, but it's okay. Then after that, it's just way off the deep end. So
yeah, it sounded like that.
Yeah. When he was talking about the character turning into something else, I'm just like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. So we'll have to see.
Well,
that is,
he explained which character that was to us. I was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah. So that is our show for the month, ladies and gentlemen. If you would please give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, YouTube. There's some other ones. We do have them listed in the bottom of the show. You can still find us other places and other places in general. It's just some of the bigger ones have gone away. So you can always find us at epicallygeeky.com, where you can find this and all the other shows we do, including the Epically Geeky Show, Creatively Geeky, and Sustainably Geeky shows. You can find us on the social media at Epically Geeky. And where can we find you online, Ray?
The Reluctant Yeti on Instagram, and you can see my journey into getting into some shirts. I've been messing around with that. And then I'm hoping to learn how to make stamp/print tomorrow. So it should be fun.
Cool. Kris?
Instagram at Moody Midlife.
Shaun?
Screwing with Wikipedia. So, exam time. Careful. All those final essays. And your favorite broken toy spelled the Canadian way on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't think you have to mess with Wikipedia hardly anymore because the AI bots are screwing people up, screwing things up.
I know
pretty well. Pretty good myself. So yeah,
what they don't know is it's all of those AIs are just being sent to Shaun, and Shaun makes the shit up.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, they've been pulling stuff from like Reddit and stuff. I don't know if y'all heard about the thing with the recommendation about mixing in a little bit of non-toxic glue to make cheese stick to pizza. Oh, that face that Kris just made. We'll have to have a talk after this. And as always, you can find my individual wacky adventure online at Optimus Gene on Facebook and Instagram. For everyone on the site, have a good night.